guys, and welcome back to another week of the Porsche Cup car here on iRacing. My name is Emery with Coach Dave Academy. We're here for week 8 of the Mount Panorama circuit here at Bathurst. So yeah, let's get into the hot lap guide. So let's get into the hot lap guide then for the Mount Panorama or the Bathurst circuit. Now your lap starts obviously starting across the start finish line, heading down to turn 1. Now quite a bumpy track, and obviously going up a mountain, a lot of undulation to deal with as well. You notice into turn 1 already we got quite a big dip actually into the first corner. You notice just at the apex it dips quite heavily. So you really want to use that to your advantage. Aim to get your front left tyre into that curb there. Obviously using all of the track on the entry as well, just to make sure we maximise the entry. Early on the brakes, and then using that apex sort of camber to rotate the car quite nicely. For your braking point, it's quite easy to overshoot. You're looking to brake just in between the 50 and 100 metre board on the right hand side, so just about here. Just make sure we're not overshooting the corner at all, and on the throttle as early as you can as well. You notice I'm not using too much of the curb on the inside, about half a car over it, or half the tyre over it, sorry. And using all of the exit curb, really important to use all of this curb just to maximise your run out of the corner down to turn 2. You can actually even get away with slightly touching the grass here, obviously just not too far, as you will pick up an off track. Back across then to the left hand side, short break then to turn 2, but some nice bumps to deal with. So flick it back to the left hand side and just stick to the left all the way down to turn 2, over the crest, and just preparing for our next braking zone. Now similar to turn 1, you want to make sure you get the car nicely into the camber here. It's actually really easy to brake slightly too late and go wide, and because of the nature of the corner you're going to lose half a second even just from missing the apex. So you're braking just after the 100 metre board, quite heavy braking, get it turned in nice and early. You're aiming for this white line. Any further than that and the curb really throws you off here. So aiming for the white line. Again, curb not to use in this corner in this car anyway. You notice we're turning in slightly early just to get into the camber. So usually you'd sort of turn in about here. But turning in quite nice and early just to get into the camber of the corner. And again, that just helps bring the car around. You get a nice rotation on the apex. Third gear and then back on the throttle as early as you can. Quite an easy corner as well for the back end to come out on you, so just bear that in mind. You notice we're a bit hesitant on the throttle just before we get back to full throttle by the end of the curve. So just something to bear in mind there. The tyres do struggle a bit on the exit. And then using all of this curb on the left-hand side to maximise our acceleration out the corner. We go up the hill. You're looking to start braking just as you turn into this first left. Just notice how we're not being not putting too much brake pressure on. That's just to make sure we don't lock the front left tyre as we come into this corner. So just a slight bit of brake and just slowly increasing it and then trailing off again as well. Again, we're same with the previous corners, really looking to use the apex camber. So you notice how the road sort of falls away from you at the apex here. And again, that really helps get the car rotated. So really important to get your tyre in between the white line and the barrier. And you can feel it when you drive it. It just sucks you in. You get a really nice exit. And you'll know when you get it right because you'll gain loads of time in your delta. And it also feels really nice as well to drive. So yeah, just really smooth on the brake. Not too much more than 20%. Follow around the barrier and the white line. And then back on full throttle. Sticking it to the right-hand side, there's quite a nasty bump just about here. As long as your steering wheel's straightish, going over it, there won't be too many issues. You might struggle a bit when you're on cold tyres, but just make sure you're keeping the steering wheel nice and straight as the car goes light. But full throttle over here, open up as much as you can. The barrier actually opens up for this next right-hander, so you'll need to be just as far to the left as you can next to the barrier and in between the white line. Completely flat around here. Again, first lap in qualifying and maybe the first couple laps in a race, it might not quite be flat, especially in dirty air as well. So just bear that in mind. But on an ideal lap, your second lap in qualifying, or once your tyres are nice and warmed up in the race, should be completely flat, guys. Not getting too close to the wall. If you touch up the curb as well, it just does throw you slightly wide. So just sort of to go around the curb, following the white line as well, just looking to get your tyre in between this black piece of tarmac. Completely flat around here. And then still keeping absolutely pinned. Quite hard to actually see much of the corner. See what I mean here? It's completely blind. And then we've got a slight lift for this left-hander, hopping over the curb, which helps get the rotation. So you see what I mean? Looking to open up the corner as well just before. Look how tight we are to this right-hand side, the Etihad board. Really key to open up the next corner, and then just a slight lift over here. Over the curb, using all of the track as well, really close to the walls, and this exit curb as well. Now this next left-hander, again, nearly completely flat. It's really easy to just turn in slightly too late and understeer off the road. So I'll show you what I mean. Again, you're not really able to see much before you get to the corner. You're looking to start turning in just at the, can't really see it because this is in the way, but just at the end of this curb here. So just there, just starting to turn in for the corner, just to make sure we don't overshoot it. Obviously, again, as close as we can to the left-hand side as well. Nice to use the curb. Very easy as well to turning slightly too early and then clip this wall and fly off into the barriers. So you're just looking for the right balance really here, not turning in too early or too late, just getting it right. Going to be a corner where you're going to need to get your references right. But generally, just looking to start turning in at the start of this curb here. And then a slight bit of brake as well, you see, literally about 2 or 3%, just to get the nose in. Lifting off the throttle, just playing with it on the exit as well. Back to full throttle, over this curb on the exit, just to make sure we use all the track we can. Back over to the left-hand side, so we start plunging back down the hill. Again, just notice how we're opening up the next 6 of the corners, just to make sure we can carry that minimum speed. Throwing it down over the hill, aiming again just to get our tyre nice and in between the white line and the barrier. And then you notice we're just carrying the brake pedal all the way through these corners, all the way through this section, just hanging onto the brake pedal. You're looking to start braking before you head over the crest. So if you want to reference, you've got this end of the grass here, which is quite hard to see from your cockpit. But just before this, before you head over the crest, and in line with the boarding there, just holding on to about 10%, 10 or 20% of the brake pedal. Still holding on to the brake here, just increasing. You notice how it's up and down. If you pay attention to this telemetry, just notice how we're going up and down, just feeling what the car's doing. And as you come down here, you're braking slightly harder. And as the car goes light again, you're just coming off the brakes just to avoid locking up. Now, what I would say, you can go quite far backwards on the brake bias, just to avoid the front locking when you're coming down the hill. Obviously, really easy to do with your downhill hairpins, especially when you're turning as well. So you might want to think about moving the brake bias backwards, just to combat that front locking. But yeah, holding onto the brake pedal all the way down here, flicking it back to the right hand side. I mean, look how close we get to this barrier here. You can't get much closer than that without hitting it. In fact, I think you might touch it slightly. But that's really what you want to aim to do. You aim to get as close to these barriers as possible. The more confident you are, the closer you can get to the barriers, the quicker you're going to be. So it's one of these tracks where if you're confident, you're going to gain up to a second. It's a long track, a lot of times to be found. Just making sure we are hugging this right hand side. So once we hit this first apex here, just want to make sure we get it back over to the right hand side to open up this next left hander. Slight bit of brake on the way in, just at the end of this curve here. Just a slight dab of the brake, 10 or 20%, and then back on the throttle as you head over this almost jump really. And hugging this right hand side as well, back onto the full throttle. Then we head down to the final hairpin on the circuit. Again, just braking slightly early, not braking too much here either, just to make sure we don't lock up the front left, sorry. So braking just about before we turn in here. You're looking at sort of the end of this orange barrier on the left-hand side, and the start of this sign here. Just really holding onto the brakes again, just slowly increasing as we head towards the apex. You notice as well, we're not taking such a wide line. We're wide on the entry, but then as you use the camber of the road, you're going straight towards the apex. The reason being, follow this line around here, the car just does not want to turn in. So really important as well to get the car over to the apex. Using, again, this camber between the white line and the barrier. Second gear, and then this bit is actually really easy to get caught out on as well. You notice how the barrier sort of just sticks up here, which can catch you by surprise. So just be careful with that as well. But then back on full throttle, second gear, get as close as we can to the barrier on the right hand side as we prepare for the long straight towards the final couple of corners. Holding to the left hand side, just reduce the line to the next corner. Heading over to the crest as well, again sticking to the left hand side underneath the barrier. Open up this next corner. You see, we notice we're using all of the track here just to open up this slight right hander, this kink here in the straight. Just carry at minimum speed. Would heavily advise actually missing this curve because it will send you flying. If you want to try it, go ahead, but to be honest, I wouldn't go anywhere near it. There's a few times in practice. I did this track actually in Porsche GB this year, and in practice I tried it a few times, and you just end up somewhere miles over here. So we'll completely avoid that curve. Then heavy braking. You notice we're using 100% of the brake pedal. Just about 150 meter boards just after, using all of the brake pedal, then slowly trailing off. You can see on the telemetry into the apex. Back on the throttle as early as we can. Also cutting quite a lot of the curb and the grass here, which actually helps you, carries the car around quite nicely. You're looking at about third gear on the apex. Also that apex curve as well, just here, really important to use as well, just gets the car rotated pretty nicely. Yeah, on the full throttle, third gear, trailing round using the curb, and up to the final corner. Now obviously quite a high pressure corner actually. If you're thinking qualifying, you've done an amazing lap. You're heading towards the last corner, you think, oh, it's only a 90-degree left. It's actually a really hard corner to get right. Really easy to lock up your front left here and go straight on. And you lose tons of lap time. Just make sure we're braking nice and early, make sure we're not throwing away the lap. Second gear, nicely squared off. Again, don't touch the apex curb, just follow the white line round. It unsettles the car quite a lot. And then back on full throttle to complete the lap. So that was the hot lap guide then for week 8 at the Bathurst circuit. I hope that was useful for you guys. Mine has been Matt Emery with CoachDaveAcademy.com. Obviously, check out the website and also our Discord down in the description below. Any feedback's appreciated, as well as all the latest data packs you can find there. But yeah, I will see you next week for week 9 at Spa. In the meantime, take care, guys.